For more on this battle on Capitol Hill, let's welcome in Republican Congressman from Florida, member of the House Intelligence Committee, Greg Steube. Congressman, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You know, we're getting some mixed responses from Democrats, including from Congresswoman Jayapal. She's rejecting the idea completely that you would just pass infrastructure. She says she wants to see reconciliation with it. She said this on CNN's Dana Bash program the other day. Let's play that and get your response.
It had infrastructure, roads and bridges, but it also had 85% of it was around these other important programs. Childcare, universal childcare, paid family leave for 12 weeks for everybody, making sure we're taking on the climate crisis, expanding health care, and of course, taking on the challenge of giving a path to citizenship for immigrants. We made clear 3.5 months ago that the two had to move together because we don't want to pit roads and bridges against childcare. A small group of people, 4% of the entire House Democratic caucus and the Senate Democratic caucus, said we only want the bipartisan infrastructure bill to go, and that's after 5 months of negotiating. We had to stand up and get the whole thing back together.
Now, the whole thing has a pretty big price tag to it, $3.5 trillion and then plus the $1.2 trillion infrastructure. And it sounds like Democrats still divided. Do you envision your House colleagues on the other side of the aisle reaching a deal?
Well, I think what's very illustrative here is the fact that our entire country has been driven to the far left progressive spectrum of the Democratic Party. You heard Representative Jayapal talking about, well, demanding, and you heard AOC in your monologue demanding all of these things from Congress. We have been driven to the far left side of the country right now, and they're holding this entire process hostage. So if they had the votes on infrastructure back in February, they would have done it. They still didn't do it. Pelosi promised the moderates on Monday there would be a vote on infrastructure. That didn't happen. There was supposed to be a vote on Thursday. That didn't happen. There was supposed to be a vote on Friday. That didn't happen. And it's because the progressives far left side of the Democratic caucus is holding all of this hostage because, as you heard Jayapal describe, she wants child care and welfare and socialist programs. The infrastructure package alone is only 6% funding for roads and bridges and things that you and I are determined as infrastructure. Everything else is Green New Deal light, is socialist welfare programs, and they're holding that hostage for a $3.5 trillion spending plan, which over 5 years is $5.5 trillion in spending. We have spent $11 trillion over the last 18 months in this country. If we spend another $5.5 trillion, you're well over $16 trillion, and we don't even take in more than $3.5 trillion a year. With the way that inflation is right now, this is absolutely the wrong direction for our country to be going.
Well, let's talk about extreme spending. President Biden expected to speak later in the hour about the debt ceiling. This after Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen called to abolish it, or at least consider doing so. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki signaling on Friday that President Biden might be open to it. Listen to this.
Would President Biden also support a solution that effectively abolishes the debt limit?
Our focus right now over the next 17 days or so is plus or minus is getting a debt limit raised in the Senate. That's what we're working toward. There's plenty of time after that to discuss what the path forward looks like.
How would that action influence and impact our economy?
Our economy is already in distraught, and it would just make things exacerbated right now. If you did away with the debt ceiling, which, by the way, Congress put in place, so Congress would have to eliminate it, and they don't have the votes to do that because you can't use reconciliation to increase the debt ceiling, and the Republicans in the Senate have said they're not going to vote for it. And rightly so. We have spent so much money in the last 2 years to spend more money and increase the debt ceiling. Where's the end? They'll increase it once and then they'll increase it again, and you're going to keep seeing an increase in the debt ceiling. When I first got elected to Congress, our debt was $21 trillion. We are almost at $30 trillion, and I've only been in Congress 3 years. That's how bad our spending in Washington is, and we have to get it under control. We have to balance our budget in Washington, and we're not going to do that with Democrats in control.
Final question for you, Congressman. I know you hit the home run at the congressional baseball game. President Biden was in attendance. You really sent a clear message on the field, but what would you like to say to the president about what's happening in his administration right now?
Well, what we like to say on our baseball team is we won in September, we're going to win in next November, and we're going to take the House back. And by taking the House back, we'll be able to stop all of this reckless spending, all of this horrible policy for our country, amnesty to illegals, all of these things that they want to do, Republicans in the House would be a stop to that.
All right. Congressman Greg Steube joining us live on the program. Congressman, thank you very much.
Thank you.